Hello, everyone. I'm Judith Zamont from Maricopa Arts Council. Have you ever wondered how in the world did the artist do that? Maricopa Arts Council has explored many answers to this question over the 8 years of Inside the Creative Mind lectures featuring the leading creators of the city of Maricopa. Today's session will probe for answers in the course of a dynamic conversation between two notable yet very distinct Maricopa visual artists, Susan Cameron and Jenniann West. Both Susan and Jenniann are quite well-known Maricopa artists, and they both actually have pieces in the current City Hall gallery titled Arizona Wildlife. They have had their works featured in Arts Council's previous adjudicated calls for works, including galleries over the years at City Hall and Maricopa Center for Entrepreneurship and the library, and the October 2020 online abstract art contest. But Susan and Jenniann create very different finished pieces. Susan is principally a realist, and Jenniann's work importantly also features abstraction. Because I'm a composer, I know that every stage of imagining something new and special and then bringing it forward successfully to the world requires developed skill and experience. And while the mindset of an artist can often seem mysterious, nonlinear, and a bit magical, artists are in fact quite practical in conceptualizing their new work. Jenniann and Susan will explore their individual behind-the-scenes processes, what goes on to bring them from inspiration to a finished piece. And in the course of that, they will answer the puzzle, what makes the magic work? And try to answer our first question, how in the world did the artist do that? First, a word on their backgrounds. Susan Cameron has been a visual artist since kindergarten, encouraged by her teachers and her parents. Her works are shown yearly at the Arizona State Fair, and they have won many ribbons. And she is one of the artists whose extravagantly painted wild horse will soon be displayed around the city. She uses various mediums such as pastels, acrylics, and pencil, depending upon the result she really wants to achieve. In Arizona for 26 years, she feels the inspiration of the desert's beauty, and that joy channels into all her artwork. Jenniann West moved to Arizona at the age of 2. Her creative process was jump-started during recovery from a serious motor vehicle accident, when she suddenly realized she could draw just about anything. A licensed paramedic, she is drawn to abstract art, and particularly the work of 20th century masters such as Willem de Kooning, Kazimir Malevich, and Pablo Picasso. Jenniann sculpts and paints in oils and pastels. She won first prize in Maricopa Arts Council's 2020 online abstract art contest, where the prize-winning works were voted upon by viewers from around the world, including almost 900 votes in from 11 different countries. And now I turn our dynamic conversation over to artists Susan Cameron and Jenniann West. Ladies.
Uh-oh.
Susan, we need you on screen.
I know.
Hang on. Jeez.
Well,
My
Jenniann, would you like to begin by explaining to us some of those intriguing artworks on the wall behind you?
Absolutely. That one is the 347 pot of gold that I won the contest with. And then this I call shifting copper sands. It's a mix of resin and sand and acrylic.
So it's textured.
Yes. It's like the other one that's in the flyer. And then that one is a big one of the textured piece. So that's a big one like that. And then I can get up and move around. And then I have that one that's an alcohol ink.
Explain that if you would. You said alcohol.
Yeah, it's basically it's permanent marker, and then you go through it with alcohol and blend it in. So
Show us the piece again. Show it to us. So it achieves that remarkable background, that inflected
Yeah.
background, and the mane that's so inflected, and the vividness of the eye. Look at the different
Right.
colorations in there, from a
Yeah.
grayish up to a sienna color, and then a kind of ochre on the mane of
Yeah.
the horse. Did you know
Right.
this horse?
No, I just did it for the brush fires that were happening in California. So he's running out of fire. And then that's an oil painting.
Is there a title to this one?
Family Ties.
Family Ties, a realist title to an abstract work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you
And then
in that family? Are you in
Yeah.
that family?
Yeah. I'm the
Which
white
circle is
piece.
you?
I'm the white piece.
And you're textured again.
Yeah.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
There's a little of Malevich in that.
Yeah. And my mom's the background because she's the constant.
I think mothers all over the world would agree with that one.
Yeah. And then these are all my wood burnings.
We're not seeing them too clearly.
Oh, hold up.
Ah. Oh, what is that animal?
Parrot.
Look at the texture in that. Do you favor textured pieces? You mentioned
Oh, yeah. I'm all
sand
about
and resin
texture.
and other kind of stucco. And
Yeah, I love texture.
when did you start experimenting with other substances infused with the paint?
Probably about 3 years ago. And then
So
I
these
do
are all recent pieces you're showing us.
Yeah, this was all this is all post-COVID. These are all post-COVID works.
A good bit of blue-gray.
It's
Did you have a
actually
blue-gray,
turquoise and-
a blue-gray segment in there?
Yeah, this one's actually turquoise.
Turquoise.
Yeah.
What's the title of this one?
I don't have a title of this one, but it's actually just melted plastic. I just melt plastic with a heat gun.
How do you affix it to the backing?
Glue.
And is a work like this something that you would do in a short period of time, or would you begin it in one layer and then study it and
layered.
come back and do more?
It's definitely layered. And then that's one of my realist pieces, probably.
Could we see the whole of that, the roses?
Can you see it?
I'm not catching it. Sorry.
Is it good
We
now?
have to see the upper flower. We are not seeing the upper flower.
Got it?
This looks almost 18th century.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
Is Susan with us? Susan, are you there?
Oh, I don't think she is.
Well, hopefully we will have her with us because we do want a conversation, artist to artist, not artist to composer.
Oh,
We're
you know what?
talking about style. I'm sorry. What is that piece on the far wall? That one. Yes.
That one.
Does this have texture to it also, or is
Yeah.
that trompe l'oeil? And what's it made of?
It's just medium, acrylic medium. So, and then I do all these, I do memorial pieces like this. Has my cousin's ashes in it. She was like a sister. So her ashes are the beach. And then the ocean waves crash over her ashes. So I do a lot with resin. I put, you know, a sand dollar in resin. My granddaughter's birthday party was, so I put elements of her birthday party in resin. I don't know if you can see them, they're little flamingos. And little sand dollars. And then my brother passed away and I got his fingerprint. So I put his fingerprint on canvas. Here she comes.
Right to the inside.
So I do a lot with like memorial pieces and stuff. I do a lot with putting ashes in resins and stuff. There she is.
There you are. Okay. I am blanking out, so the artists can please talk to one another. Susan, we've had a bit of an introduction to Jenniann's multifaceted work, multi-medium work. We'd love to see your tools, some of your current pieces, and any stories about what inspired you. Take it away, ladies.
Okay, Susan Cameron here. Welcome to my studio, everyone. Front bedroom in the house, and some of my pieces are on the wall. My tools are lots of paint brushes, a big messy counter, acrylics, pastels over here, this big shelf. It's just a mess, but I don't know any artist that isn't, so.
Really?
Yeah, I know. So this is a piece I'm working on. I don't know if I can do that right. Right now, this is acrylic on canvas, and that's a green heron. I like birds. This is my barn owl, or a great horned owl, excuse me. And yeah, some of these pieces have been in galleries. One of my favorite kind of horse is the Percheron, especially because they have big hairy feet and they're very large animals. Yeah, they're really cool. I do a lot of Celtic works.
Oh, those are gorgeous. Those would look gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah. The Celtic stories are amazing. A lot of these dragons that they painted were designed to keep children in bed at night, from what I understand. Yeah. So the dragon will get you. Here's another one that I've done. This one here.
That's gorgeous too.
Yeah. You pretty much just make them up. I also do some fun things, like my fish.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah. And then wolves are one of my favorites to paint. Wolves and foxes and things like that. So, so basically I get in my studio, since I'm retired, pretty much on a daily basis, and, you know, do my work, always photographing, wildlife or the sky, even anything that inspires you, because you feel, artists always feel it right in here, and then it transcends to here.
Right.
You know, that you can get it out on canvas, paper, anything. That it was my kindergarten teacher that saw me with crayons and told my mother be a good idea to keep her interested, give her creative out, you know, go, just a creative way to go. Keep supplies around, paper around, anything that you see that is artistic. Support it. Right. So I'm afraid of this because anyway. So yes, I do. I just come into my studio when I'm inspired by anything. It could be anything. And also being in Maricopa and being part of the city's committee, Cultural Affairs and Arts Committee. I work on the Maricopa ARTS Council. We have galleries and we're always looking for young, artists to come out. When I moved to Maricopa in 2009, I started realizing how many artists live down here.
Right.
And all different. They're weavers, jewelry makers, gourd artists, acrylic painters, and that's when we started moving kind of ahead to get in touch with each other, support groups, and just exchange our ideas on how we do things. So that's been the fun thing here. And geez, I don't know.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Jenny? I mean, what inspires you? Oh, the stuccos. Yeah.
Well, everything inspires me. And it's weird times of the day too that I get inspired. I mean, it's not any certain time of the day. I mean, I could be laying in bed at 1 o'clock in the morning and I'll have a thought and I'll get up and just start working. So it's not just any one time of the day or any one thing, or it's just something will just hit me, or I'll see something on TV, or I'll see something on Pinterest that'll be like, oh, that would look good with this, or it's just, I'm really into like preserving memories, or, if I see something cool on the ground that I think would look good in, forever, I'll put it in resin, or, whatever it might be. So it doesn't matter what time of day it is. It doesn't matter where I'm at. I always keep an iPad with me and I'll jot something down. I have this little magic pen and I'll just start, doodling in my little drawing app, so that I don't forget anything, because I always go back to that. So, there's so many different materials that I use, but usually it always starts on my iPad. My ideas usually start on my iPad. So that's usually where my draft process starts. So
I do a lot of research myself.
I do too.
Yeah, because I have to have the subject that I'm doing, murder. I don't usually do landscapes, but mostly animals. And, so I do a lot of research because I want it to be anatomically correct.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the ratio of the head to the body to the legs.
Right.
And also colors of the animal as well. But you're right. Inspiration comes at any time, and sometimes bugger when it comes at 1 in the morning.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that's because an artist's mind is always open and aware and allowing these things to enter at any time. Right. We have a different way of thinking. And that's absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. I've had people ask me to do pet portraits, and they'll give me photographs, and they'll tell me they like this one of the dog, but they don't like the background.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to paint the background? Where do you want them up in Sedona on a rock?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
how you make the background. But that's the
Right.
vision we have. We don't see it for what it actually is. We see it as how we can present it through canvas or sculpture or
Right.
in that matter, right?
Right. That's actually how that came to be, because that was a horse picture. That was one of the 347 horses. And because it was an abstract contest, I'm like, how can I make this abstract? I wanted to just paint it in a realist. And I'm like, how can I make this abstract? And I was actually afraid that it wasn't abstract enough. And I thought, oh, we'll just go for it and see. But yeah,
Right.
I guess it was.
It's beautiful. And the colors are just so eye-catching.
Yeah.
Things that I like is bright colors so that people's eyes are drawn to it. And then they're pulled to it, and then they're studying it and wondering, how did they get that stroke to look like that? Or sometimes you just use your finger.
I'll tell you, that was really out of my comfort zone, because if you look at all my works, usually I'm into like 2 colors or, 3 at most, and it's usually like similar colors. That was super out of my comfort zone. I've never done a piece like that before.
Right.
So the fact that I won that thing, I was just like, are you sure? Are you sure? Because I don't know.
These are the opportunities that we have here in Maricopa.
Yeah.
It's all the time. Now with COVID going on, things have changed somewhat, but we're still trying to engage people to do their works, have lectures like this through Zoom, just always moving forward to engage people. I feel that people in the town, once they see and embrace art, sometimes you can get rid of other things that are in your way.
Uh-huh.
Open it up and allow these paintings to come in.
Right.
And I think it's
Right.
Excuse me, but I need to ask a question on behalf of our watchers.
okay.
You both mentioned doing research, which is fascinating because artists of past eras have left us sketches and studies for pieces along with the finished work. But in this technological age where you can put something version 1 on your iPad and then version 2 just comes in and version 1 disappears. What are you doing about legacy? How are you leaving the things that illuminate your process in its various stages? Your sketchbooks. Do you keep sketchbooks? Do you collect your sketches? Would you ever publish them?
I had my original sketchbook here from after I got in my car accident. Oh wait, might be right
Could we
here.
see it? Could we see it?
Oh, I don't have it. I don't know. When I decorated for Christmas, I did put it somewhere. I don't have it.
But they're there. They're there for the world, right?
Yes.
How about you, Susan? How about you?
I really don't, because it seems like whenever I sketch out and erase and change and modify, it ends up being the painting. The heron, for instance, was sketched out, and actually this was another painting, and I painted over it with black because I just didn't like it anymore, but that's how it goes.
Oh, that's another question. That's another question from the viewers. The question being, do you have the 2 sides of the spectrum, okay? Do you have works that you've never released or will never release to the public, things that you've done because they needed to be done at that time, but maybe you can't live with those pieces in the long term? And then in the other hand, have you ever had anybody buy a piece that you wished you'd kept for your own collection that you wanted back?
Yes, I have both of those. I have
Tell
stuff
us about them. Tell us about them. Tell us about the one that got away that somebody bought and you wished you had held on to.
I did just recently, I did a Martin Luther King piece that I wish I had hung on to. It was pretty dynamic, and I could probably do it again because it was a different type of art, so I could probably reproduce it again. But yeah, that one was pretty amazing. And then I have a couple that I keep because I mean they're embarrassingly bad, but I keep them because it's just things that I did, and I won't throw them away because it's something that I did and it's part of who I am as an artist, and I think it's important to keep those.
Right.
So
Isn't it funny to look back at stuff?
yeah,
And she's like, oh,
it is.
So Susan, what about you? What about you? What about the one that got away?
Well,
You
you
have
can
that
always,
wonderful piece with the Native American head and the wolf below it. The piece I've wanted to own, and you won't sell it to me.
no, I won't.
But so that our viewers and that Jenniann knows, I owned a work by Susan Cameron, one of the Celtic pieces, and somebody bought it off my wall because they liked it so much. And I just feel like part of my activity here in Maricopa is to make sure that the art circulates. So I figured that was a great way for that to happen.
That's a great way to do it.
So that one got away from me. But what about other ones that have gotten away from you, Susan, that you wish you'd held on to?
I really don't have too many of those. I do have some favorites that I keep. I'll show them in a gallery, and if somebody wants to buy it, that's fine as well. What it does for me when somebody buys a piece of my artwork or I do their pet portraits, the reaction of the client customer is worth everything. Just to see how they are, they start crying because it's their baby dog or their cat or something that passed away or whatever. But there are a few pieces that I've had for a long time, and it's not that I didn't want to let them go. It's just that starving artist is a correct terminology.
I think that's how I'll feel about that one. If somebody buys that one, I think I'll feel like that.
Yeah. But I do know one thing, being an artist, if I'm not in here painting and creating and letting that flow out of me, because that's who I am, you don't feel like you just don't feel right. It has to keep flowing out of you.
Right.
Person you are. And
Right.
to not let it come out, you're kind of doing yourself a negative, because you need to have that. So, and I do paint on things in the house, walls and things like that, windows.
Windows.
And yeah. I can take you there if you'd like.
Please, yes.
Let's go out into the kitchen. Well, with those cinder block walls that we have
It's funny you're
Arizona.
saying that, because I'm going to paint my entire backyard.
Oh, good for you.
Murals.
Instead,
Oh,
I
yeah.
painted the window instead.
Oh, that's cool. Very cool.
Yeah, and it's just acrylic dabbing, so it kind of looks like stained glass.
It does look like stained glass.
And I did it in the summer, so I thought to myself, am I going to get out and paint the wall in 115 degrees?
No, mine will have to wait till winter now. But
Right, so let's
I
stay
am going to
inside.
paint my
Right.
wall.
Right. And I am working on a piece right now for the next gallery, which is called Playful, and that will be at City Hall. But because it's a juried gallery, which means it's looked at by several people, they don't know who painted it. We just choose it because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I can't show it to you because
Yeah.
it's juried. Yes.
Yeah.
But I was watching my 5-year-old neighbor yesterday while his mom was in the hospital. And as soon as I get the paints out, he's super happy. So he said, "Are you going to paint with me?" And I said, "Of course I am." So I was painting on my canvas. He was sitting right next to me with globs of paint.
Yeah, my granddaughter does that too once in a
Right.
while.
This is one of Judith's favorites as well. And it's my lily pond.
Oh, it's beautiful. It was up at City Hall.
Yes.
We don't have, it's slightly in the shade here, Susan. It's
Okay.
slightly in the shade. Yeah, that's a gorgeous piece. It's the greens are so vivid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
And it's
gorgeous.
large. Oh, that's
Yes.
another thing. What about sizes? This is my question, not from a viewer. What about sizes of your works? Do you find, because your workspace is the dimension that it is, that you're painting smaller? Would you like to be painting 7 and 9 foot paintings if you could stretch the canvas that way?
Up until the contest, that was my biggest work.
And what are the dimensions? Jenniann, what are the dimensions of the horse abstract?
That one was a 36 by 48.
Right. So it's quite an imposing size.
Yeah.
But when you put pieces like that in a gallery space, for instance, the library's gallery, the old library's gallery, which was above, had a wingspan of 24 feet wide, but only about 4 feet 2 inches tall. So it was hard. A lot of the pieces that we had seen in previous years come up on some of the gallery walls in the city were smaller. You wonder with the wonderful size of our houses in Maricopa, 13-foot ceilings, 15-foot ceilings, 18-foot ceilings, why people are not painting gigantic pieces, statement work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't done anything bigger than, let's see. I don't know how big this piece is. This lion, the 2 lions. Maybe 24 by 36 is the biggest I've done. I find that with wildlife, if the canvas is too big, I can't get the anatomy correct. That's my issue. And I don't know why. I just haven't, because I haven't really attempted something big like Godzilla or something. But I will tell you one.
I struggled with this a little bit too myself. So yeah.
Because when you're up painting close and then you have to stand back, or you take it in your living room and put it across the living room from you, that's when you can see things that aren't correct to me.
Right.
And then it's pick it up and take it into your studio and work on it some more. Also, I've learned, because I'm right-handed, that I have to take my paint at a mirror to make sure that, because I might be painting uphill. It was something that, because I would look at some artwork and go, what is wrong here? And I would look in the mirror with it and just, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So it's just have to pay attention. Once you learn about who you are and how you paint, and you retrain your brain to make those corrections and be aware of it while you're doing the creation. So,
right.
So
Yes.
that's something that experience has taught you.
Yes.
I mentioned earlier that it's your skill set, which we've spent time looking at in conversation, but also the experience. So Jenniann, you're an adventurer in mechanisms and textures and another way to bring the surface, a flat surface, alive for the viewer.
Right.
So what do you want each piece to be a new adventure, or do you ever sit back and say, oh, I'll do another one of those as my next piece?
I always say, my mom laughs at me all the time. I always say, what's the worst thing that can happen? and literally, what is the worst thing that can happen? I've taken a canvas out, and probably Susan is going to cringe, but I have taken a canvas out and I have pressure washed it before because I don't want to ruin a canvas. Right. And I'll use that for my home use. You know, I won't sell it, but I'll use it for my home use. But I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? I ruin a canvas, you know. Right. I mean, that's literally the worst thing that can happen by, you know, throwing some sand on it, or even some cement, or, you know, whatever I come up with, or resin or whatever. And so I'll just throw anything together. I'll throw stuff on canvas that nobody has ever tried before. I'll throw clay on it. I'll throw Play-Doh on it. I mean, whatever will create texture, I'll throw it on there. See what happens.
So I have another question from viewers here for the two of you.
Okay.
The question is, both of you have been very open about your processes, which are quite remarkably distinct. How has that been affected by your actual education in the arts? Not your general education, but your artistic education. Do you consider yourselves primarily self-taught, or do you come out of a school background? And how has that influenced your work, do you think? Your viewers will have one idea about that, but you have your own ideas about that.
Right. I did take some classes in Philadelphia when I lived in Pennsylvania, but I've been a resident of Maricopa since 1995. So the classes that I took were, you know, they teach you things, but mostly my artwork is self-taught and just a gift that you have.
Yes.
And I was told by a teacher once that it's hereditary. I never knew that. So I had talked to my mother about who was my family. And my father, he passed away when I was very, very young, and I don't remember him. But apparently that gets passed on. And now my daughter is a graphic artist and doing well. And my granddaughter plays the violin, which is fantastic. So there's always some kind of expression. There is, you know, theater or dance or poetry or the arts, the visual arts or music, anything. I'm very proud of both of them that, you know, they carried on with the gift that I have. So, but mostly it's just something that I found certain mediums work better for me than others. And like Jenniann said, when I started doing the feathers with that, it's just a pen with a point on it. There's no ink or anything, it's just a pen. And I started doing the feathers, pulling the paint through to make the lines like on the quills of the feathers and things like that, you know? So it's just trial and error and playing with it. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, you know, just put it behind all the other paintings. Jenniann,
for me, I I have some art history under my belt and some realism art. And then I went through some bouts of depression and stuff and took art therapy. And I was a realist artist, like to the extreme. And part of my art therapy was to get out of that comfort zone and become more abstract in my thought process. And that's when I started to learn to be more abstract. And that just in this past 18 months, with all my loss that I had discussed in accepting my award and stuff, because I've experienced so much loss in this 18 months. It's just been unbelievable. And if I didn't have my art, I don't know what I would have done. But in experimenting with all of the things that I've experimented with in the last 18 months, I mean, it was such an outlet for me to experiment with throwing. I mean, this is literally that big piece, that big textured piece that I showed earlier is literally toilet paper mixed with Elmer's glue and acrylic paint, and it's just kind of slopped on there, and with a putty knife, and just textured on through, and it creates that texture. And it's just a way of me expressing my anger and grief and frustration of spreading that stuff around, and then finishing it off beautifully with the gloss. And
Could you show it to us again, please?
Yes.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
yeah,
It is so powerful.
and it's something that's so simple that you don't think would even, create that kind of texture, but it does.
Right.
And then, after all that anger and frustration and guilt, and it takes a lot of energy to spread that stuff around, and then to pour the resin on there and make it run off the sides and look at it to be so beautiful and glossy and stuff. It just finishes it off, and it's kind of like my tears running through it. And and then I can I have my forever feathers keepsakes and memorials, and I can even put people's ashes into that too. So
Wow, that's a great idea.
yeah, so I've done that
Yes.
for people. I've done actual works of art like that, to where I put their ashes in it. So we're getting away from the urns and things like that, and I'm putting people's ashes into actual pieces of art.
Yes, we are getting away from the urns. I agree.
Yeah.
And coming up with
Passion runs through both of your works, both of your sets of works, but in different ways.
Right.
Really, overt passion, channeled passion, and this is true for both Jenniann and for Susan. As we come to the close of our video, I know our viewers will want to know how they can get in touch with you, and what kind of pricing do your works go for, or are you flexible? So let me open that big wide door and speak to Susan first. How do people get in touch with you who want to commission one of your pet portraits, or a person portrait, or a flight of fancy on your part? How do they get in touch with you? And what might one of your pieces run? What one of your small pieces run?
Okay. I have actually I have 3 Facebook pages. My regular Facebook page. I have Susan Cameron Wildlife Artist Facebook, and Susan Cameron Pet Portrait Facebook. And I post all my finished works on there so they can get an idea. Quite a few are sold. There's pieces in Texas, England, and California. I did have an Etsy page as well that works. And I have my contact email on there. susancameron65@yahoo.com. Also, word of mouth is a great way. Being in galleries is a great way. I'm kind of an extrovert, in case you didn't notice, but I engage verbally with people a lot, and I feel like I am approachable, as well as how I interact with people to get them to see that I'm not a artsy whatever snob or whatever. But the pieces that I sell, let's see, the lions that are canvas and acrylic, sell those for about $300. A lot of times I'm told to ask more. The smaller pieces I usually sell for about $75, depending on whether it's framed or not, or glass, because that also increases my, you have to put your costs into everything. When it comes to how long it takes me to do a painting, I don't really incorporate that much into the price, because I just love to paint. And it's almost like paying myself by doing it, And plus, when people buy the painting and they're so thrilled with it, that's, the best. I did donate a piece to, I think it's called Out of Africa, and it's up in northern Arizona. They have a lot of wildlife there. They interact with the animals. And I donated it, and it was a wolf howling at the moon, and went up for auction. And the lady that got it put her arms around it and just hugged it like she thought somebody was going to take it or something. But so it's a matter of introducing yourself. Hi, I'm a wildlife artist. I'd like to donate my work. And that's pretty much how you just go and talk to people. Not that I had the confidence to do that years ago, but I certainly have it now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jenniann, what about people reaching you with interest in your work, and some indication of how they best do that?
I have a Facebook page. Right now, it's only the one page. It's Forever Feathers, Keepsakes, and Memorials. I'm hoping to launch a page for my art, which will be JHW Studios. So the memorial page is mainly for, the fingerprints, and I do the ashes into the resin, and I can do ashes into pieces. My pricing is pretty much like Susan's as well. It depends on the size and what type of canvas it is. There's a level 1, 2, and 3 of canvases. This is a level 3. It's really thick, and they're really expensive to get. So if they want a level 3, like for that textured piece that's on the flyer, that's $200. So there was a lot that went into it. It's a smaller piece, but it's quite a bit of work that went into that. There's a lot of resin that's involved, and a lot of but this bigger piece is a level 1 canvas, so that's also $200, because it's a thinner canvas.
Well, I will say to arts collectors around the world, set your sights on the city of Maricopa. Not only is the art here compelling, but it's also priced to sell. So come on down, visit with artists Susan Cameron and Jenniann West on their Facebook pages, enjoy their work, get in touch, and buy something. That's the way art connects the world. Thank you so much to our 2 distinguished artists of the day, Jenniann West and Susan Cameron, who are beyond just artists. They are ambassadors to the world for their own work and the creative spark that fuels Maricopa. Thank you, ladies.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Judith.
Yes. I got it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.